Welcome to another Mother Fiction Writers podcast. I'm Stevie, and this is my co-host,
Stacy.
And we're bringing on Sabrina. Today, you can find her at Brina_reads. We'll kind of link that underneath. This is our first official reader, and I'm really excited, right? You don't do writing, do you?
No, not at all. Never.
I'm excited. No, I am so excited because we always talk so much writing, which is fun, but I get to talk books today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, reading is what starts the writing, really.
It's true.
Right.
You can't be a good writer without reading.
Yeah.
But we did a buddy read together. Sabrina's gonna hold it up for those that can see it. Look at that beautiful cover. I mean, look at it. You're already like, I'm obsessed with the Gargoyle just from that cover alone.
It's gorgeous.
And then, but for those who can't see it,
I was the not responsible reader. I have not finished it. I have read a couple chapters. I'm in a book slump. Please forgive me.
Yeah, but she's been writing a lot. That happens.
Yeah, I've got a big book that I'm working on. I have a deadline, and it is just, I'm so stressed out that it's hard to get into anything at all. Yeah. So it's nothing against her writing or anything like that. It's just my brain is bouncing all over the place. So
eventually you'll be able to fall in love with the Gargoyle and the dragon and the
beginning
demon.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna follow that chart you sent and start at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, that's what I read. The Court of the Vampire Queen. I'm gonna point. You can't even see him.
How was that?
Okay. I loved that one. I wasn't expecting it to be like almost like a breeding trope, because you haven't read that either, have you, Sabrina?
No, I haven't. I just started this series with The Dragon's Bride, and without knowing that they interconnected like that.
I didn't at first either.
Right. That's cool. You can do that, though, that they're interchangeable.
Yeah, it's like she's building this whole universe.
Well, there's like little people in different stories. Yeah. Like interconnections. Because I didn't realize she's got another one coming out that's like a pirate based. Mm-hmm. But then it's got, I think it's Bowie was his name. Mm-hmm. From just that little novella, the Bargainer Demon one with Romano. Yeah. I hope I'm saying his name right. Romano. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, God.
I do that too. Like, when it comes to talking the names, I'm like...
I say wrong.
You do? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, they are amazing, and I am obsessed with them. I think they are a hilarious connection, and I'm glad they got their own book.
Yes, and I think it's nice too when an author is considerate of writing a series that you can almost read it in any kind of order. Because when somebody's like, I got this new book that comes out and the book looks fantastic, and they're like, but I want you to start back at book 24.
Right, all the way back. Yeah,
and like,
that's fine.
Sounds good. Right. I'll TBR that for a couple months.
Well, and it's almost intimidating then too, because you're like, I don't know, this one looks super interesting, but I'm not sure I'm gonna like all of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Did you, Sabrina? You've been reading the Ice Planet Barbarians too, right? Because Stacy has read some of those.
The first two.
The first two. Yeah. And how far are you?
I just finished book 4. And so that one, I've got the reading chart or whatever, because that's complex. Like,
there's a lot.
Novellas between the regular novels and stuff. And so I want to read those in chronological order, like how, with the timeline and everything. So I just finished book 4, and I think this one's some novella. It's not the actual next novel. So I'm not really sure, but I'm loving.
And what's nice about the novellas on the Ice Planet ones is that there's some that are legit only like 50 pages. Yeah. So you can just really quickly pick them up, read them, and then it's just like fillers, but it's almost like you don't want to miss the fillers because they add to like the sweetness of the story.
Yeah. Just deepen everything, like the emotions. It gives you a little backstory into maybe this side character that you don't. anywhere
Well,
else.
because I can't remember who it is or what their number is. I've read all of them. I'm even on the other ones now.
Wow.
You're the one that got me into the series.
Yeah, so the Ice Planet Barbarian ones could almost technically be, even though I've always read kind of like vampires, all that kind of stuff, but technically that could have been my jump into the deep end of monster romance, you know?
Say.
Like, because they took it to a different level.
Because the parts and stuff are different. Like,
Well, and it's like a sweet. I don't know, there's something. Yeah.
Like with monster romance, I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I want the monster to be a true monster.
Yes.
Like when they start in a human form and then they can like deviate between the two, it's like, okay, that's kind of cool, but I'm like, I want the real, give me the real monster that
like
has
the villain. Yeah.
It's monster romance from, I feel, even paranormal romance and stuff like that, because it is legit monster romance.
Yes.
Right.
I actually was looking for a Reddit thread of that today. I was like, give me a genuine monster romance book. Like I was looking for all these different ones, and I think I found one called Monstrous with M on M.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I heard that was really good, so I'm gonna try that because somebody was like, the parts on that. I'm really like the parts on that, so like, okay, I'm gonna have to check that out because I want a monster.
Right. Well, I don't know. So that's what I just started that book series. The dog is about to drive me crazy over here. I started the book series with like a soul to keep and like that kind of stuff. And those ones are like legit monsters. They don't have faces. They only have, you can't
like glowing eyes.
There's like the tongues are like super long.
I like that. Like I want that.
Pennywise
vibe.
You really want the villain. Yeah. The bad guy. The bad monster.
Monster romance in itself as well is it takes away the whole like looks aspect of it. Like the appearance and everything. Even though in the books the main character will tell you, no, I'm attracted to his monstrous looks or whatever, but it's not your typical appearance, and it kind of that's not the focus, and so there's more of a focus on the emotional elements and
exactly
that's
and
what
they are.
I agree with
that. Yeah, I do. I think that's partially what I love about monster romance too. Is okay. I'm gonna ask the question: why do you read monster romance?
To go first. You can go. You go.
I'll let Sabrina go first. Yeah, we talk about it.
I would say that it would be what I just said, as far as like there's not as much of a focus on, besides his monstrous appearance, like that's a big thing, but the romance isn't driven based off of either's appearance, because the other character, whether that be the FMC or the MMC that's in with the monster, they're totally different from that monster's beauty standard.
Right.
And so beauty standards don't really have a place in monster.
And even like I agree 100% with that. And I also could take it to the next level of like a lot of the times they're coming from completely, not just totally different looks, but well, in Ice Planet Barbarians, they have a whole language barrier, and there's other ones too.
Is all of that, and so that plays into just, you know, you dig deeper into the emotional aspect of the story, you know,
actually being together.
At monster, even though body positivity has come a long way in romance books, you see a lot more of it in monster romance. You're going to see more mental illness like covered and everything like that, because it just expands on it that way, because you're dealing with a monster, and so you can
it definitely takes you on a mental roller coaster a lot more. Like this when the Gargoyle's captive, you and I both agreed that this one, I went in being like, oh, it's Monster Hunter, and a hunter. It's going to be like enemies to lovers, like they're going to be really at each other's throats kind of thing. It was like the opposite of that. It was more of an emotional
I like the way he felt when he
connection
saw her, when he described her, like he felt her presence, and when he was talking about her, I did get to that part, and I thought that was so beautiful, like
Yeah.
how he like felt about her almost instantly. He tried to say he didn't like her, but you could feel,
Right.
you know,
Always did.
It's totally Bram. That's
Yeah.
just a thing he does.
yeah. So
No, I actually liked the part a lot with the tub scene where he just like, she obviously was there. She's the huntress. She's like trying to show him what's up, that I'm gonna run, I'm gonna do this. And he just was like, he's so emotionally distraught that he's just like, yeah, go do it. Cut my, like take me.
Let go. And like, and that was, I didn't know, and neither did you, because normally in monster romance you've got they're more of the dominant one, the monster is. Well, and then it took a turn where Grace, the human, was the dominant, and that allowed Bram to let go of his, he was able to step back from his mental and stress he deals with every day and be the submissive one and just let go. And that was
like him mentally letting go.
You guys are selling it. I'm gonna have to go back with
this one took me by surprise. And yeah, I loved her too. And I felt that way with, I can't remember it, what was her name, Katerina, with the Kraken. I can't remember her name. I liked her too, because talk about like taking things to sexual positivity. Like both of those women were like, I am just gonna come in and I'm gonna be like, I want this. I'm gonna be open to this and stuff. And I'm like, we need more of this in books, because women are always like, the men are the dominant ones. And that's great. I like to read that too. That's fine. But I like when a woman comes in and kind of takes over too and isn't afraid to be like, I like sex or sexuality.
And in this case too, like Grace needed that as well, not only because, she had to feel, but when you're in, first she's coming from being a monster hunter where she hunts these things, she kills them.
She's been bred for this,
feel like safe in a way. Because it's just the one-on-one, she had to be in control to, for him to earn her trust and her to earn his.
Right.
That was important for her as well. And then as the relationship progressed, they were able to have then like a more even ground and a give and take. Where like she was able to be submissive at one point, and then
well, that's the thing, they went from this like big control thing, like a couple of scenes where it's like he's totally submissive, she's in control, and that I loved those. But then it was like, then she was like, now it's your turn. And it was like this super sensual, sweet, cutesy thing where you knew then everything was about to hit the fan, because now it's cute and sweet.
And I also loved how she was very attentive to knowing that's what he needed.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how much of a hard front that Grace tried to put on, throughout the whole thing, whether it was intentional or not, like she was always very attentive to what she felt he needed to make him comfortable and let go. But it benefited her as well.
It definitely did. Him being submissive,
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things about the dynamics in monster romance, is because it's a lot more of filling of, I mean, I'm not saying regular romance doesn't change dynamics and doesn't feel that way, but I feel like in a monster romance, there's almost a deeper connection, because like you were saying, you are getting to know their personality, you're getting to know who they are, and I feel like the characters connect in a different way than when they just...
And I think whether it's the female that's the monster or the male that's the monster, I feel like it allows to open up the animalistic side of beings, or like humans even, and that's something like that is mentally, I feel like that should be talked about. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, I was going to add for what I liked about monster romance, but I decided to wait because your guys were all cute and lovey and everything.
No.
I like the anatomy.
I'm not saying
Keep going.
Okay, I'm just gonna be real about it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's different, and it just gives you like a different, like, you know, when you're reading about just like humans, you're just picturing what a normal.
Well, and there's only so many. Like, of course, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's so big and monstrous" or whatever.
Yeah, yes. Like, there's one that I'm reading, and it is called The Kraken, but it's not the same as the one you guys are talking about. And I kind of, this is why I'm on the fence about it, is because he looks human, but his tentacles can come out.
Yeah.
I guess it's like kind of hot-ish, and like when she was explaining it in the bedroom and like how he would unfold and stuff, I'm like, that's kind of cool, but I'm like, I really wish that he had some gills or something, like, you know, just like maybe a blue tint or
Gotcha. Right.
but I mean, I was like, okay, well, we got tentacles.
Well, then you will probably like the dragon one because he's got like a man chest, but he's got a dragon face.
Oh, okay.
Like to the point where like he opens up his mouth and consumes her.
Yes. Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna have to check that one out for sure. Because
like I was telling Stevie, that one, it's really hard for me to pick whether I like that one the best or the Gargoyle's Captive the best.
Okay.
Maybe
I'll start that one.
There's the one in the I don't want to like give everything away, but in the dragon one, I loved the chase scene. Like that scene was so like, I don't want to say too much, but you should read it just for that scene.
Okay.
For multiple reasons. It's emotional and it's just like talk about a scene where letting both of them go and he's able to be like, these are my instincts, you know, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, two. There's
that too. He's got double the funness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I don't see. That's the thing is, I'm always telling Chad, I'm like, I don't know what I can and cannot say on YouTube. I'm not quite sure where we can go.
I'm writing a fun monster romance that I'm probably going to put out on Kindle Vella, but I have had to push it because of demons.
Because you've got a lot going on.
He has the two.
Yeah.
That's a good touch.
What do they call it? There's a specific name and I can't think right now.
It's a hemi.
Is that what it's called? Because
is there a title for it? Is that, you know what? I didn't know that. I probably should write that down because I just put that he had two.
Well, that's what Katee Robert is so good at knowing. She knows all the lingo too. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to write some of this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know the proper lingo.
Grab my phone. It's called a hemi.
She's like, I need to take notes.
Oh, it's an inappropriate friend.
Look up like snakes and lizards.
Okay, so let's go here. Did you read those? I think her name is Lauren. But there's like the basculus. You talked about snake, and I can't think basculus or whatever. She's got like another romance series that's like that. You can read them individually.
Oh, Lillian Lark.
Is that what it is? Her name is?
Multiple monster books, but the
I think it starts with the basculus, or maybe that's just the one I'm most intrigued about. I'm like, I want to read that one.
So I haven't read any of hers yet. They've been on my list for a long time, but I think it's going to be very similar to like the Katee Robert series, or even like along the lines of Cleo Evans. Okay, maybe
she's the one I'm reading right now for the let me see if I can get a cover in here. Hold on.
Yeah, because I have her on my Kindle
TBR. The one I'm reading right now. I don't know if you guys can see that, but
that's
Mark. Yeah, that's the one. Actually, I don't know if it'll let me get back to my spot.
Yeah, and then you just brought up Cleo Evans. I love her books too. I think hers are like quick and just like you dive right into them. And then she's not afraid, and I guess Katee Roberts like that as well. There's always multiple partners. It's almost like polyamorous style, you know? It's not just reverse harem kind of stuff. It's just like they're multiple.
like there was the two with the dragons and the dragon shifters and the human. They were all together, like in a relationship.
Yeah.
I actually thought about that with the monster romance I'm writing, was writing, but I decided since it's my first one, I'm just going to stick with one because monster personalities are
Start
so
small
different.
and then go up.
Yeah.
From there. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to write from multiple guys' perspectives anyways, but like monsters have, in my opinion, bigger personalities than, so I'm like, let's just small.
Well, and that's, of opinion though too, because then I could look at it because I was telling, actually, okay, my son was like, why do you write about monsters dating humans? Like that kind of stuff. And I'm like, because it's okay to say like, look there's a human inside the monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And like, I like to kind of almost look at it in that perspective. Of course, there's the monster way. I like that as well. And you've got to, I just think it also, especially from a writer's and a reader's perspective, I like how it really does kind of broaden the range of the way people think and how you can portray, like you said, Sabrina, mental illness. That's why there's such a big thing in that, because I think you could even look at like, why are we villain lovers? Well, because what made them, let's dissect it. What made them a villain? You know what I mean? I like that. I like diving deeper into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And monster romance gives you more of a free reign to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without the confines of all the social norms and human norms and stuff like that, you're able to really branch out and dig into it a lot deeper.
Right. Yeah. There's that deeper connection. And also, so what are some of, so if you're not reading that author, for some reason I thought you did, and it was one that you suggested to me. What are some of your other favorites authors?
So the one that got me into monster romance would probably be CM Nascosta. I'm probably not saying
write
her.
that down if that's okay.
Yeah. She her books are more not all of them, but the ones that I dove into are more on the kind of lighter, more lighter side of things.
Like more of like a cutesy romance, kind of like how Ice Planet Barbarians, they dive deep into like mental things, but they're more cute.
How do you spell her last name?
Nascosta, I think. I did not ever win a spelling bee, so
okay. As long as it's close enough.
Yeah, and
cool. Thank you.
Her characters too, like she dives into more of like their neurodivergent people and stuff.
Okay.
So she has good reason, but hers are more on the lighter side and more so like if contemporary romance was monster romance, so they're in like a very like today's setting, like in the world, like modern time, and deal with modern issues, but in a monster community.
Okay. I like that. I feel like Stacey, you'd be good at writing that style,
Yeah.
I feel like you would be really good at that.
Well, that's be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the compliment. But that's like, that's the book that I was working on. It's just like really fun. I don't want to say too much, but basically it's a mix up. The mate is mixed up with, like, because they're twins, and the mate realizes he grabs one. And it's because their names are so different. And so, I mean, I might put it up on Kindle Vita, so I guess I could just say it. But Rebel is the sister's name that's good, and Saint is the sister's name that's not good. And so he goes up from the underworld to get her, and he grabs Rebel because, like, they're twins. And, like, in his mind, he's like, it's Rebel. And they get down there, and he's like, holy fuck, this is messed. I did it wrong.
You're nice.
Yeah.
No, it's opposite. You're mean.
Yeah. So he gets her down there, and he's like, what do we do now? Because, I mean, the contract was already signed. She already did everything. Like, it was an accident. It'll explain itself when it comes out. But, like, she accidentally signs it with blood because her finger gets cut. And, like, he comes up. It's like, it's too late because the contract's already signed. And they're like, angry at each other.
Interesting. I'll read it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
So I'll probably release like a couple of chapters this week on Kindle Vella, because I mean they're already written, so it's not like it will interfere with demons at all. But this is what I do. This is why I have such a problem getting big books out, because my brain just can't focus
Can't stop.
on one thing. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, that's what for me, I'm not gonna go into like writing and stuff like that, but for me, even like reading lately, it's been really, I've always been one who reads multiple books at a time, but lately I'm finding it is hard. I have to just focus on one at a time anymore. Even, I don't know, do both of you read audiobooks or no?
Yeah.
I do sometimes. It depends. It'll get me through like a pinch, or like if the book, I hate to admit this, but if I'm having a hard time getting through a book, I'll
Then you turn it
on
on audio.
Yeah, because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what, maybe this will help me. And sometimes it does, and
Well, see,
sometimes
that used to be my favorite platform to read on. I just felt like it was super convenient. I would most of the time I'd play like Sims or something and throw it on in the background,
I think
or do
part of it
laundry.
with Audible is that I have a hard time staying focused, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I will be like doing something, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, how did we get here? And then I'll have to like
I missed
start
something.
over, or like go back like however many minutes I've lost. I mean, it's not a big deal because sometimes I do that reading, but
I listen mostly driving to like work and stuff, so it's easy to focus on, because I could never do it while cleaning the house or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Focus, but just driving, because I have a commute to work. That's normally what I do, and I hate to admit this, but normally I will download an Audible, like a book that I'm interested in, but I'm not really super interested in owning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
But
unsure.
I wind up getting pleasantly surprised, and I'm like, damn, I wish I had that book in
Right?
physical
Yeah.
form.
Wish I could show it off.
I have to say too, sometimes why am I like this? But sometimes Audible books will pump up the spice,
They do.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because like
It'll
sometimes
be the way they say
something
things.
will be like, and then I got on top of her, like I mean, in a good way, in a good voice, and you're like, hold on,
A
wait,
good-
what? Let me sit
Well-
down for a minute.
Well, that's what I read. Not all of them, but probably over half of the Ice Planet Barbarians I read in audio form. And I think that's why I was able to read. I read there's 22 plus all the novellas or whatever.
Yeah.
I read them in less than 2 months.
Oh wow.
And it was because I would just go back and I'd basically be reading like in physical form and audio.
I'm gonna show you
Nice.
a book that you guys need to download an audio because of the way that one of the guys talks. Whew,
You gotta be sitting down for this one.
beside myself. I made my sister listen to it.
Did she like it?
Yes, and she normally doesn't do spice. Let me see
Gotcha.
I get
it.
I'm like traffic, because you have to turn it up a decent bit to hear it in your car, and if people are right outside, they can hear
If
what
you're
music
stopped.
like. Oh,
You
I
guys
turned
listen
that.
to this?
Okay. I think I've
So
seen that one.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Because he said,
Okay.
like, get rid of her. So he's like stalking her from a distance, and
Oh, okay. For some reason it cut out when you said that. So he's a stalker. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. I still have not, I'm a horrible person. This isn't quite monster romance though, right? Gothicana. That one.
Oh,
That's not
Is
monster though, right? That's just like stalker. Or is it even stalker? I'm not sure.
that is my favorite book. No, it is not. It's more of along the lines of like dark academia.
Okay.
But it one trope is student teacher, but it's not. That's not like the main focus. Like he's the
Okay.
professor, student. There's a slight age gap. There's maybe 5 or so years, but it's not so I wouldn't say it's an age gap or
Okay.
anything. But that is like dark academia, slightly paranormal. Very, very. That's one of my favorite books.
I'm just like on the podcast search.
This one is just everywhere. I have not heard one person say that they didn't, who read it, say they didn't like it. But that almost intimidates me. You know what I mean? Because then I'm like going in and I'm going to be like, this is life changing. And then I'm like expecting. So I almost have to wait for it to like hype down.
Yeah.
And then read it. Yeah.
What was the name again?
Gothic Canon
by Runix.
Because yes, I'm doing this.
I really feel like I haven't read it, but I feel like it would be definitely up your alley by the way people talk.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements to that book that just make it something special to me. Like I haven't read anything like it.
Is this right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Not to be on here trying to get book recommendations, but I'm stuck in a slump.
No,
so
that's what we're here for. I hope that people go, like, when they're listening to this one, I hope they're sitting there. I even wrote one of my, like, things was, like, bring a pen and paper with you or your notes on your phone.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing is just adding them to my phone. You know what? Speaking of...
I bet everything is already on my TBR. I'm a horrible, like, ad.
Same. I do the same thing. Sometimes hyped up books can be disappointing just because you put so much into it because everyone's telling you how good it is that when you go to read it, I had a couple like that. I won't say, maybe I shouldn't, but there was like a book that was really hyped up and I had such, like, I even tried it on Audible and just had such a hard time getting
I do that all the time. It's almost like my own like mental, I don't know, like I have like a mental block that's like, I just know now I have to wait. I have to wait until the hype's over. Otherwise, my mind's going to already be like something. I don't know what. I don't know why I am the way I am. I'll be like, I don't like it.
I had a hard time. So I'm just curious if I'm alone. But I had a hard time getting through it. But when the second one came out, I literally went to the store and bought it.
Of what?
And my husband was like, of the book that I was like, had a hard time getting through it. The second
gotcha. But it was so hyped.
Bought it, and my husband was like, wasn't that to the series that you weren't really that fond of and that you had to like listen to on Audible? And I was like, but the cover's really pretty. And he went, oh my God.
I mean, I'll give you that one. I am such a cover buyer all the time.
And it just seems like you feel like you can make yourself like it. Like, not that you want to go with the trends, but you're like this, if you don't have anything else to read and you already read the first one and the next one comes out.
Might as well read this one.
Yeah, you're like, maybe this will get me out of it. Didn't, but it looks good on my bookshelf. So
I mean, that's a plus. It looks good on the bookshelf.
Yeah, so that's good.
So what was the Gargoyles Captive? Was that your last purchase then? Yeah. Because you are definitely, like, when it comes to the Ice Planet Barbarian books, you like to wait till the covers come out, the new ones, right? Yeah. That's what I thought. Where I am a horrible, again, I don't know what my problem is. I was joking about the husband having me on the strict thing. That's more, I just need to slow down.
I know what you mean.
I mean, I legit have no more shelves. What?
I said our husbands don't tell us. No, are you kidding?
I was going to say, I do what I want. No, but I don't have any. I've got a bookshelf in my bedroom. I've got 6 floating ones in there. And then I've got this one that clearly has way too much on it already. And it's like, I just don't have, I need to get rid of some before I get new. And we're like redoing this room too. And eventually there's going to be a big bookshelf on that side too. So then I can start buying more. I'll buy all the Ice Planet Barbarians.
Are you guys like me where you have to get the covers that match all of the other covers? Like, I am so scared to order through Amazon because you don't know if they have new covers out. You don't know which cover you're going to get.
Yeah.
Oh, and it will set me in a tizzy. I don't know if it's my OCD or what, but like if I order a book and they send me like an old cover and I have all the new ones, I'm like, oh my God, because like it doesn't.
I know that really does bother people, but for me, I do if I'm specifically going in for a cover, but then I'll try and just buy it specifically at the store. But otherwise, if it comes in and they're a little off, it obviously
Yeah,
it
like
doesn't bother me.
I won't throw a fit and like send it back and be rude like a Karen about it. But just inside when I set it on my shelf, my brain will look at it and I'm just like, it is.
You want it to be aesthetically pleasing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
Sabrina, did you say no? You don't care?
It doesn't really bother me, but I will say one thing that and we can be specific to the Katee Roberts books right now, is you see how the Dragon's Bride has this little illustration the front on it, and none of the rest do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that bothers me a bit.
Little,
like that does. I'm not
Yeah.
a big stickler. I don't really get upset.
I need to rearrange my shelf. Right now, it's just in a shambles because I bought stuff and just threw it up here. But I also have, like, oh God, I hope I don't knock up on myself.
You're going to end up with them on your head.
Stuff like this, like comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a lot of comic books on my shelf, too. I mean, they're higher up, so, you know, they're the geekiness in me. But,
yeah, but that's what you like, so you gotta show them off.
and I also have, oh, you guys, I'm a big Ninja Turtles fan, and again, I'm going off the rail, but you know, who maybe somebody's watching that likes Ninja Turtles. This came out.
You need to write a Ninja Turtles.
This turtle is the last turtle. Like all Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo, they're all dead, and he's like the apocalypse. Like he comes to clean house. I haven't read it yet, but it looks good. So
that's interesting. See, I never got into it was like my brothers were, and I never, besides X-Men. See, again, you got the monster I know there's always like other things going on with I don't know how Marvel and all them like specifically say like here's how we characterize our people. They're just heroes. They're like superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Where to me, when it came to the X-Men, there you have the mutant. They're like still humans, but like monsterish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like beasts and a few of them that are like not human at all.
Right. Like you've definitely got like what, Beast, Toad. I mean, I used to be now X-Men was where I was like, but I think because of that element, I just have always like I can sit here and say, oh, Beauty and the Beast started my monster romance or whatever. But technically I was in love with the X-Men people forever.
See,
when I was
comic books were like when I first started reading. I was like probably 5 or 6. And my mom would do estate sales, and she brought home one time like these Batman and Spider-Man comic books. They were probably authentic, which now that I think about it, but I literally like read them until they disintegrated. So, and I became obsessed with the Ninja Turtles. Absolutely love them. Like their character names will pop up in my books. Like I have Bane. Well, this is Batman, but I have Bane. I have Krang. I have Shredder. I have characters that have like.
Gotta throw your little loves in there, yeah.
Or like somebody would be wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt or something like that. So like I always, but yeah, I've always been obsessed. That's probably nerdy of me to admit, but that's okay.
No, because that's the thing. I think that's what we're here even just saying about monster romance. Like what you like and don't be afraid to own it, you know, and stuff. Talking about what like got your love of reading. So Sabrina, have you always been a reader?
I read quite a bit in high school, and even so in like elementary school. I went through years where I didn't. And then, of course, I did go through years in my adulthood. I would say I read a good bit, like 20 through 22, and then stopped again for years. And didn't really get back into it until maybe like 25, 26. I was sporadically reading, and then when COVID hit, it was just bam, book.
Yeah.
I would read multiple books through the years. Like I had taken like a social media break. So no Facebook, no nothing, probably 25, 26, maybe a little before then. And that's when I would read maybe one or two books.
Yeah.
But definitely when COVID happened and we were just home, I had books here that I just hadn't picked one up and then started reading again.
It gave
and
you
then
a reason to kind of slow down and read a bit more and stuff. Yeah.
And like a little after the confinement or whatever you want to call that happened. Yeah, and just met a bunch of people through the community in that way, and it just has kept up my love for it.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm kind of similar so I read a lot when I was younger. I loved the Goosebumps books. There was a couple other series that was like, I was super athletic when I was little. So like there was these books where they were specifically about a girl in like hockey and all this kind of stuff. So to me, that was cool. I will never remember the name. Do you guys remember the books Anamorphics?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Loved those.
Like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I thought those were awesome. And then in high school, I actually kind of got away from it just because your life becomes busy. You get more socially and, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had a teacher though, like my junior, senior year, where we had to read. It was a literal just sit for 45 minutes, whether it was a newspaper, whatever. That was my first deep dive into like fantasy. I read The Lord of the Rings, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. That's not really fantasy, but I remember loving that book, that series. And then after having kids, I got away from it for forever. And then it actually, for me, I want to say it was like 2018. I picked up the Marked series or House of Night series. And I never stopped. I read all 14 of those books in like 2 months, and I just have been reading ever since. So besides books, what else Stacy, we're all S names. I'm like,
Right.
what else do you collect besides books?
I have I have a lot of action figures. I have like a big Michelangelo pop. I have
I was gonna say Funko Pops and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's one of the bigger ones, and he's holding like the little what are those things called? I cannot think of them. They're like round and they've got like a cream filling. What are they called? No, they're like those special like little croons or what are they called?
A crouton? No, that's like for salad.
Oh, I get
a croissant?
Yeah, no, they're like
Danish?
like fancy. They're like little hard candy things.
I'm not very fancy.
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
No, I'll think about it after and look stupid.
A macaroon?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And also because I'm a Twilight fan and a Batman fan, I had to get the Robert Pattinson.
Oh my god, that is awesome. I like that. That's awesome.
It literally made my life. I was like, my husband looked at me and I was like, this is a childhood dream. Do not understand. Like 2 of my favorite things are combined.
Right.
I have to. So yeah, I have just stuff like that. Just little, like I have like a Krang action figure. I have like Alien action figure. I also have like a big poster of the Stranger Things above my writing space.
Okay. Yeah.
Weird stuff like that. I lost a couple of turtles to my son though, so
that's what my kids love all that stuff. And I was never an action figure type person. I was never like a doll person or anything either. But I'm always like with them, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Let's get like this. Let's set it up and put it on your shelf.
I think a lot of it stems from when I was younger. I was always a tomboy. Like I would climb trees and get stuck in them and rollerblade down steep hills and play with worms and spiders and frogs and stuff. So I always wanted action figures. And I love my mom, and I just think it's because she like was busy and not really paying attention, but always like for Christmas and like different holidays or like my birthday, I would get Barbies. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but like I never got like the action figures, like the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So now that I'm old enough
that you're an adult, you're like, I'm gonna own every action figure.
I lost them anyway, so it's okay.
So what do you collect anything else besides that?
No.
She's like, normal.
Well, that's it. Well, that's for me. I do crystals. I'm really getting into like tarot cards and stuff. So I love tarot decks. So I do
Get
get
into
those.
that. It's so overwhelming though. Like I really want to learn how to like
So
tarot
I
read.
over the past few years have really gotten into that, and I actually have acquired a few more decks. So maybe I'm starting a tarot deck collection.
Yeah.
I found Buffy the Vampire Slayer deck at
The deck?
Target.
That's awesome. There's a Lord
It's
of the
awesome.
Rings one that I want really bad. I haven't picked it up yet, but
People trying to get into that, like how you go about finding ones that are the most helpful in reading, because that's the thing is like I look for ones that try to help me read the cards, and I don't like every time I hold on to
well,
something I feel overwhelmed and I put it back because I'm like I don't know if I'll understand that.
so I started just watching YouTube people is kind of like what helped me, and looking up. I kind of already knew sort of about them, but I wasn't 100% about the cards and stuff. But there was this specific person, and her name was like Boho Tarot, and I loved her because she was the first one that kind of was like, do it for yourself, a daily tarot thing. And just because it's the death card doesn't mean like, there's a stigma that it means like you're gonna die, someone's gonna die. That's not true. It's actually a good thing.
As like a daily kind of just pulling and like to help like focus your thoughts basically, because your thoughts go in separate directions. Pull a card. If you don't know what it means just by looking at it, look, they normally come with a guidebook.
Yeah.
Reading, kind of reflecting on that in like your daily and your weekly, just kind of looking how that plays into your life, just to kind of help focus your thoughts on certain things.
Do you
and
guys?
So like, it always comes with a little book like this that has a little breakdown of the cards.
It's got like a little. Do you guys?
Yeah, and it tells you. I won't be good at the focusing, but it'll tell you specifically what the card kind of represents. But then also, I like to get like the indie ones and like the people who actually created the artwork and stuff. So then it'll tell you why they put this. So this is like an animal deck, nighttime animal, and it'll say why she picked the owl for this card, why and what that represents, and like stuff like that.
That's cool.
So
That'd be a good way to
cards too. Like when if you do just a daily, just one, just pull it and see what it means, like what it represents, how that relates to you and your daily, and that helps you kind of learn the cards as well, to where eventually you guidebook anymore and you can kind of card and that kind of thing.
That's cool. I seen one this is probably going to sound lame, but it just is what it is. I saw one at Barnes & Noble's that I thought about getting, and it was like a game. Like, how to explain it, but it had like different levels to it, and I was like really intrigued by it. I was like, I'm going to get this, and I was like, girl, you better learn how cards work first.
I mean, once you start looking and getting into tarot, you will 100% realize that it's not just what, like, I feel like there's a very specific look to a lot of tarot cards. Once you find what works for you, like that's 100% the best thing. That if you like this deck, go in, grab that deck, and just get the feel of it. And that's the number one thing that a lot of the people that I watched on YouTube would say. Before you start using the deck, go through the cards, get to know them, like that kind of stuff. And you were saying, well, like Sabrina was saying with like the daily pull, I like to pull and then just like see the card, kind of go over what the card says, but not necessarily be like, this is, or like think about it all day. I'll come back to it at night and be like, where did it fit into my day? How did that represent?
Or sometimes I've heard people that talk about them, because there's a couple people that I follow on TikTok that I absolutely love. They give really good advice. And one of the things was, she said that she likes to look at her cards at different times because sometimes they mean and resonate different things throughout the day.
Yeah.
She's like, sometimes she'll think that things are going to work out a certain way because of the cards, and then she'll go back and look at them and be like, oh my gosh, this was so relatable to today, and it was not how I thought it was going to be at all. So I thought that was cool too. And we're like, oh, you know what else?
Right. Yeah.
But I think I like our dynamic, like not to talk for everyone, but like I feel like we have with all of our guests, but I just really feel like we've been lucky with the dynamics of the people that we've brought on. I really
No, I'm not joking when I say like these podcast nights are some of my favorite nights.
There's so much
because I love because being of a bookstagram community, it's a social media based thing. You talk, but do you really talk? Do you really get to know people? You know, do you really meet? So I do find this super fun. And actually, I was talking to somebody earlier who was like, I would love to be on the podcast. You know, she's like, we can finally meet. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
I hate, like, actually, when I wrote you, and I mean, I guess I'm telling this to everyone, but this will be my last podcast until after Demons comes out, which is June 27th, just because I'm overwhelmed. And I hate that I have to cut this out of all things because this is such a fun night. Like getting to talk to everyone and like getting to discuss subjects and things that have bothered us through the weeks or, you know, like whatever is on our mind. So I really hate that I had to cut this out, but it's just like I'm down to the crunch. Like I'm that last little bit where, you know, like even the things that you enjoy or that excite you feel overwhelming just because you're overwhelmed by this thing.
This is a big book. If you haven't read her, I'm going to plug her book for a second just because it was one of my 5-star we're sitting here recommending books, right? It was a 5-star read for me. And not only will I sit there and hype her and be like, you kind of found your niche, and I know you don't want to just stick with that, but it's reverse harem. It's got such deep characters. The female is a badass. Like, I love her. Yeah. So it's called Dark Side. So she's writing number 2 right now. And that one is a little overwhelming for her.
Yeah, I'm really overwhelmed by it because, I mean, it's it's the mafia romance and it is reverse harem. And I guess what's just so overwhelming about it is the fact that it's book 2, to be honest with you. Like, I have a lot of dots to connect.
Stuff to kind of come together.
Yeah, like, I just want to make sure, because everyone was really receptive of Dark Side. Not like saying that I have a bunch of people, but the people that have read it have been really like, you know, I really like this book and I can't wait till the next one comes out. And like, I have people actually inboxing me about that book. Not all
about out. That can be overwhelming.
Yeah. I can put out a book and it just flops. And that's just how it is. Like, disappeared, not doing well at all, which is okay. Not gonna be amazing, but like people will write me and be like, hey, when's book 2 coming out to Dark Side? So I just feel this pressure of that. You know, it's like I don't want to let anyone down. I want to make sure that everyone's happy with it. And I just feel like at the beginning there's a lot of, it's like a build because, well, you know how book 1 left off, so it's not like you're gonna come back to all the spiciness right away. So I just hope people are okay with that.
No, it's gonna be fine. So Sabrina, do you read mafia books too, or no?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations? So that's why I was super surprised that I love Dark Side so much. I think it was I've said this a million times. I think it was your characters, because it's hard. I don't know what it is about mafia romance. Sometimes I tend to just be like, immediately write it off, be like, nah.
I purposely leave out guns as well. I purposely just leave out guns because I feel like that takes out some suspense and some action. And, you know, like if you're fighting with a knife or you're punching each other, you know, like there's gonna be a lot more action than if someone
there's
just
more
like
personable stuff, I guess.
Gun, like I can get why people use it, you know, for dramatic effect and stuff, but I just feel like it's really like you could end a whole book right there with a gun. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a good reason to pull out a gun and not use it if you're head on bad guy.
So what were some of your favorite mafia books then?
Probably the one that got me into it was again, it's Brunix, you know, Gothic Hannah. Mm-hmm. Well, not mafia, but her it starts with The Predator. It's called The Dark Verses.
Series. Oh, okay.
That one, and it kind of turns from more mafia base to, it gets really deep into some underground stuff and like
Okay.
trafficking and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But then
That's what mine
that
has.
I was it's called Muse by Diane Portman Ray,
Okay.
and that's set in 1990s New York.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to take those down because once I'm done with Demons, I can go back to Mafia. Just right now.
Right.
This book,
She went.
I will say this. I'm not trying to give away any spoilers, but this book kind of calms down a little bit with the Mafia because I mean, like, it's at first it doesn't because it's a sex trafficking ring, and you learn that right away because that's in the synopsis. But yeah, after that hump of the beginning, it just kind of it'll chill out for a minute, but things still hit the fan. So, but yeah, it's just kind of overwhelming. Like I'll pick up a book and then I realize it's Mafia, and I'm like, I just can't right now.
Right.
So, not that I don't enjoy my books. It's just, when you're writing it and reading it, it just can be.
Oh, sorry. I just like had this like remember so Sabrina, you're reading the From Blood and Ash too, right? Are you done with that now? Or
no, middle of the second book because I'm taking my time with it. I'm like in between a bunch of books, and so that's the one I read on like my lunch breaks at work.
okay.
But that was another that I held off on reading because of the hype.
The hype.
No.
It scared me too much, and I was like, this is definitely not going to live up. But I have really enjoyed it. The first book, blew through it. The second book, I'm kind of taking my time a little bit more because I don't want to get burned out on it.
Yeah.
And
well, the second one's a little bit slower pace, so you can take your time. Yeah.
And that's what I like too. And I come back to it, and I'm not forgetting anything, so that means it's sticking with me. And because they are bigger books and it's a series and that kind of, so I'm just kind of taking my time with it. But I have really, it's lived up and it hasn't disappointed me yet.
Right. Castile. I feel like Hayes like the top-notch fantasy like heroine sexiness.
Yeah, I have to say, like, as much as like I'm a big fan of JLA, I just for some reason, or did I say that right? Did I say that dyslexic? JLA? Is that right?
No, JLA. Yeah.
Jennifer Lynn Armentrout. So JLA. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I did say it right. Anyways, when I first started From Blood and Ash, I'm not gonna lie, I put it down 3 times.
Really?
But when I picked it up, and like literally right where I put it down, like 20 pages after where I put it down, I'll say like it was page 120 or whatever, it hit the fan. I was like, if you could have just read for 20 more pages, you would have seen. And like as soon as crap hit the fan, it just took off. Like I was just, and her world is so huge.
Her world building, excellent.
Yes, and I have to keep going.
She doesn't just throw it all in your face. You're like learning it as they move along, and I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
The
only confusing thing is trying to figure out where everyone's at in the family tree. So I followed her anyway. So like I keep going back to it, and I'm like, okay, she's here. Poppy's on this side. All right. And then I'm like trying to go. I actually enjoy, am I saying it right?
Well, because you've read the back books too, right?
Yeah.
I haven't read those yet.
I think it's Sarah and Niktos. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
But story. Oh my God. I just live for it. The last one that just came out, which one was that called? I'm trying to think. A light of something in flame. It's the latest one that came out. That one was so good. Like that one.
See, I had a little bit of a problem with book 3, Crown of Gilded Bones. So I think I'm gonna take a break. I love the series and I love Poppy, but I thought they not really did Poppy wrong, but talk about an overwhelm. She gets into a period of overwhelm. Yeah. And I was like, but Poppy's such a badass. Like keep going.
If you keep reading the end, girl, I got chills. Like the last 100 pages of that book. Because
I haven't quite finished, but I was gonna just start going backwards. I was gonna read because JLA is very good at that too, where she will take a series, but not necessarily do novellas. She just makes a whole new series of like characters you've heard about or you've been with, and it's just like you don't have to read them together.
I do novellas because my brain is not that big. Like I could never. She is
She
insane.
is awesome. She is. How many have you read other books by her? Then
I haven't. I do have Obsidian, which I think that's
Yeah,
the
the Lux
one of
series.
her. Yeah.
Read it.
But I haven't.
Read
Yeah.
it and read Origins so we can talk about it because Origins.
I haven't read Origins, but I've heard people. So I love the Lux series.
The Origins wrecked.
But-
I cried. Literally. My husband came in because I was like, and my husband came in. He was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "This book, I don't want to read it anymore." It was awful, but in a good way. In a good way. It wrecked me in the best of ways.
Yeah, I haven't read. Maybe that's what I'll eventually go to next and stuff. But I do. I love her, and I loved the Harbinger series and like Wet. What is it? Is it Wet Hot Kiss? Is that the other one? I can't think.
Yeah, Fire and Fury or Fury.
Talk about another like bringing in like early like before monster romance was monster romance. Like he's full-fledged demon. Yes.
Yes, he was.
Right? He was everything.
I've been wanting to read that one because I mean it just sounds really up my alley. But and now I guess I'm just gonna have to do it.
I admit though, as much as I talk about Roth and talk about how hot he was, and I loved his familiars. Oh my god, they were such a cute touch.
I just loved
but I also love Zane. Like in the new series with Zane and what was her name? Because she had like a seeing problem.
Yeah. Actually JLA has that same, where her sight's going. Yeah.
Trinity.
Yes, that's her.
I also love them. So, I mean, because there's a spinoff of them together, Trinity and...
Oh, yeah. No, it's Trinity. Yeah. I thought you said Lip. I was like, who's Lip?
Oh,
am I missing someone?
I also love them together. Like, their story was
I did too.
The roof scene.
Yeah.
And the pool was like...
and you're talking... You're talking like low key spice too. You're not talking like everybody whips everything out. You're talking, but she still had a way of making you be like, oh yes, that's so good.
And I'm trying to talk in code, so then that way, if somebody.
I know I don't want to give anything away.
But when that I will reread that series for that scene.
I kind of want and I will reread any scene just to have Roth. Like again, let him. I'm a rereader though. Do you guys reread books?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, it's just happiness.
You know what else I reread? I don't know if you guys have read this series, but I highly recommend it. Dark Fae by the Twisted Sisters.
No, that's not good.
Sorry, because I always call them that. Caroline and Peckman and Susan. Yeah, have you read it?
I just started it on audiobooks, so I'm really new to it, but I've had so many people tell me, and I haven't read the rest of the Zodiac Academy or anything, but she's like, you can start on this series and it'll be just fine. And so
okay. So that's the second or like the spinoff to that.
It's before everything takes place in Zodiac.
Okay.
So actually, that was the first book that I ever read that was reverse harem. So here I am, like, as she introduced all of the guys, I'm picking, right? Like, I'm like, who is going to be
which one? Yeah. Well, how about all of them?
So, Ryder is my favorite. I am, like, in love with Ryder, and I also love Gabriel. And they have a scene together, and girl, let me tell. Ooh, I was beside myself. And so anyways, when it came about that she wasn't going to pick, I was like, wait, what?
You're like
there's a choice. You don't have to make a choice. Yeah, this is a thing.
I'll tell you too. I don't.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, let's recommend your favorite reverse harem books.
Okay.
Oh, that's hard.
I'm gonna say first. I have Dark Fae, and then almost anything by C.M. Stunich, I think is how you say your
Oh,
name.
yeah, you talk about her a lot.
The boy, daughter of a serial killer. That series, the spice in that, because it's her stepbrother, but she's got a lot of reverse harem. And also, so there's Dark Fae by the Twisted Sisters that I love. Oh, that's gross. I can't tuck my hair like that. And then the other one that I like is the Darkmoor Penitentiary series, because that's also reverse harem. And that's got Leon's brother in it, Rory. You'll know when you get to once you've
From
listened.
the Dark Fae?
Yeah, so like
So there's even like, I didn't realize there was so many other books in this. Okay.
It's Leon in it, and Leon's one of the love interests, and his brother is Rory. Well, there's a girl named Rosalie, who's Dante's cousin, and Dante's cousin is in love with Rory.
So do you have this whole thing like in a chart somewhere?
Yes, yes. I won't give too much away, but they go to a prison and a bunch of stuff happens in it, and it is because she's an alpha wolf.
Okay.
And she takes shit from nobody.
Gotcha.
She's a badass bitch, and I love her for it. And so that's another series that you might have to bleep that out. That's another series that I love. I love anything by the Twisted Sisters almost, I have to admit.
Yeah.
But
and so I was kind of going through my thought process, and I guess I don't know. I think your Dark Side is the only one that I've specifically read that's reverse harem. Otherwise, I do a lot of why choose or polyamory, where they're just all together.
We're talking why choose. Yeah. I like your book. With Bremen. No,
we're not going to talk about my book.
Okay, but you keep bringing Dark Side. Yes, we're going to talk about it. You asked me what my favorite why choose was, and that's one of them.
No, I do. I love the why choose. I love the why choose trope very much, and I'm getting really excited to get that scene out with all three of them. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
When is it coming?
It's coming soon.
When is it coming?
It's coming very soon. There's a good training scene that leads into it. So, yeah.
Do we get Berman the King?
You do.
Oh.
I mean, after all the angst that they've gone through. Yeah. So okay, Sabrina, sorry. I feel like we went on this rant for a little bit. So what are your top reverse harem?
Oh, that's so hard. Probably I'm gonna have to go with the classic Den of Vipers.
Okay, yeah. I still haven't read that one, and that I think for me was because of a hype thing. And then I just kind of forgot.
Right isn't the best.
Yeah.
But the harem itself is the best.
Yeah, it is so good. I've heard that it is really good.
I got to the part where is it Diesel? What is this?
Yeah,
the one that sticks his finger in her wound. I couldn't. I put it down and haven't picked it up. But does it?
You can't do the pain for pleasure? Is that what it was, or what?
I don't mind pain and pleasure, but the way that they describe the wound, I'm sure she remembers it.
Oh, okay, like too much.
Digging into the wound was just whoo. I was like, I gotta take a break.
That book is a lot, and that's a lot of people's like first introduction to RH, and that's what's crazy to me. Yeah. Because it's
very intense. Yeah. It's very
But again, it's a go. And then and I haven't gotten to the full novels yet, but Harley LaRue's The Dare.
Okay, that's what I haven't heard about yet.
Yeah, it doesn't start out as RH, but it becomes that way. And The Dare is more like a novella, but she's extended on it to a duology called Losers, where
I have heard. Yeah.
I haven't read those yet, but I just know it's probably going to be my favorite because The Dare is one of my favorites, and it just left so much to be.
Okay, and that one's more of like a modern, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
like modern time and that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
that's
so I have seen that one around. I guess I've seen more hype for this Losers, probably because people are just really excited for it.
Yeah.
For
So the novella that's before Losers.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'll have to check that out. Oh, I think I've heard of that. Losers. Is it like, does it have, well, of course it has a bunch of guys on the front. Stacy, duh. It also has like, I want to say that the writing looks almost like it's in marker or something.
Yeah, it's kind of the
I bought that one. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet, and I should.
Yeah. And the second one just came out maybe a month ago or something like that. But they're thick boys, and so that's, it's kind of making me wait to start them. But I just know I'm gonna love it, and
like
because
finish your already big book that you're in the middle of, and then go into that.
I actually have another recommendation that I almost forgot about and don't know how I forgot about it because I just read it like a couple months ago. But it's by KJ Rios. I don't know how you say her name, but it's called Church. And
I've seen that.
I can tell you a little bit about it without giving anything away. Basically, this girl gets sent to like this church, like academy, like a Catholic kind of academy, and these guys are there. And it starts off so dramatic because her best friend tries to kill her. They're like 10 years old. And she loses her voice. Like she is so freaked out that she does not speak. She's like traumatized. So they treat her whole family treats her like she's a freak. And so they send her to this church saying they're going to help you. Like this church is going to fix everything. And her stepdad, this typical stepdad that treats her like a butthole. And so she goes to this academy and the kid that killed her is there.
Interesting. Okay.
Harem of whom she catches their attention. Like she catches their attention right away. And he's like being real weird and like getting her, she can't talk. So like everyone's taking advantage of her because she doesn't speak.
Oh yeah. I don't know. That one might be too much for me.
Good. I highly, highly recommend it. It seems like too much, but it's just the right amount.
Yeah.
Enough to make you frustrated, but also want to keep.
Because that's the thing. I like dark, but there is, and it's not so much like I don't mind the pain for pleasure or like the dominance and stuff like that. But there's a point where I'm like, this isn't even like, is anyone enjoying? Are these people liking this?
Okay, within the actual harem, she mentally agrees with the harem. Mm-hmm. It's people of the school, like the administrator and stuff, that take advantage of her because they can do stuff to her in private and she can't say anything. So not necessarily like he doesn't really molest her or anything, but he says stuff to her and like spanks her and like, it's all like awful. But at the same time, you just know that in the next book, she's gonna have this big
come back and there's
like,
gonna be
feel it. She's building her way up to like just gonna let everyone have it in the next book.
So I don't know if you guys, this is a little bit off subject because I'm jumping from reverse harem to, it's not reverse harem, but there's a lot of extra sexual like in the background going on in a funny way. And it was another one of my favorite reads from last year. But K.F. Breene, have you read anything from K.F. Breene?
I don't think I have.
So she does this really humorous take on a Beauty and the Beast story. But
Broken Bonds.
What?
Did she do Broken Bonds?
So this one is Ruin and Roses, and then she has another one that's called like Sin and Chocolate. That's a whole series.
I've seen floating around.
But a Ruin and Roses is, so instead of being like, I'm just like a beast, like we know the beast, he's like a dragon-esque kind of guy. And then it's got more of a fairy tale vibe too. But then, you know how Beauty and the Beast has a curse, over the whole castle? His whole castle is run by a succubus.
Ooh, love that. Immediate.
So then everybody cannot stop having sex with each other. Like it's this whole thing. And then talk about like a Cogsworth type character picture like this going on. And there's this side character who you just cannot get enough of. He says the most hilarious, but like nonchalant, because this has been going on for years for them. So he's just like nonchalantly like, I can't go too, I don't know what I can and can't say, but you have to read it. And then the connection between, it was almost like the Gargoyles captive kind of situation where he is super, he's got this toughness, everyone's like afraid of him, but he's also an outcast because he doesn't join in on all this stuff. But then the girl, like how Belle is, she's here now and could break the curse kind of thing. And they have this, I mean, you're talking like bondage stuff. You're talking, I mean, whole room of stuff. It is such a good series.
Immediately, yes. Immediately.
I love it. It's just one of those series that has this stuff going on, but then it's also got a good plot to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend that one all the time.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Like a fun book. I don't mean like I mean it's like
to have a curse on.
But no, it does. It sounds like a fun book, like a fun read.
Yeah, it is. I love it just because you don't find humor in a lot of these stories, but that one definitely, through all of its heaviness and obviously sexualness, there's so much humor, so much, and I love that. Yeah. So that's, yeah, I definitely recommend that one. I probably recommend that one most of almost any book. But I suppose, I think we're going on, what, hour and 20 minutes?
31.
My phone.
Yeah. So we can stop it here and say our goodbyes. Yeah. I think we've recommended enough books to everyone.
Oh, yeah. Now my TBR is like 10 times longer, but I'm thankful for it because I'm in a slump. So now I got some stuff to choose from. So
yeah.
I'm happy. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you came on, Sabrina. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, you definitely made our TBRs a lot longer.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely do. So I've enjoyed it for sure.
Oh, good. Good. Well, yeah. So I'm going to say goodnight and call it a night. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, whatever you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and join the fire. I feel like this light over here is like making me on fire. Maybe it was this talk. I don't know.
It was kind of steamy, but in a good way, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. Those are always the best talks.
They're the best reads. I'm sorry, but they are.
They can be, definitely. Okay, goodbye, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording.
Oh, gosh.